Prepare for Dave!
What's going on, everybody? Salty Smoker here, and today we're doing a how-to video. So you've picked up your first pipe, you've got some tobacco, you've got a tamp, a lighter, some pipe cleaners, and you're wondering, how do I do this? So it's actually a fairly simple process when you really break it down. There are some subtle nuances that some people swear by. Other people, they just say, oh well, I'm filling the pipe and I'm smoking it. So I'm going to show you guys how I pack my pipe, how I light my pipe, how I smoke my pipe, and then a few tips afterwards on how to take care of my pipe once I'm actually done with it. So what I like to do first is get myself some tobacco, spread it out, and let it dry out on my mat. You can use a paper plate, paper towel. Sometimes I've used a sheet of computer paper. So just anything that you can lay your tobacco out. And this one's been drying for a little bit, maybe a little bit more drier on the drier side, but that's all right. It's still gonna smoke well. So this is how I do it. I'll take a pinch of tobacco, put it in my bowl, and let it fall down like that. It's kind of like the gravity method. And then I'll take my finger and I'll go around and just kind of tuck the edges in. And I don't want to push too hard on this. And then I want to make sure that my resistance, that I still have some resistance, like I'm sucking through a straw. Not necessarily a milkshake, but you know, you do want to have a little bit of resistance. Got a pretty good draw on that. And you're going to want to test your draw every single time that you put a pinch in there. So I'm going to put the next pinch in. And again, let it fall on its own. Alright, just pack in the sides. And this is a smaller bowl, so I'm not going to get as much tobacco in it as I usually do for some of my bigger bowls. And you might have to use a few pinches every single time on, you know, a few more, a few less on each different pipe that you have. But always, after you get it packed in there, you know, I'm not packing very rough, you know, I'm just kind of tucking. And I make sure that I have a good draw on it. And then, since I'm at the point where my bowl is almost full, what I'll do is get some of these smaller, drier pieces, kind of act like kindling, right? Boom. Now you have your pipe packed. You want it to be a little spongy on the top, but you don't want it overflowing out of the rim of the bowl. Right, like that. I'll pack down just a little bit more. And on the top of the bowl, you can use a little bit more force, but again, check your draw. And I've still got a good draw, so let's go. So now we have our pipe packed and we're ready to light. So what we're going to do with our lighter is we're going to hover the flame just over the tobacco. And we're going to draw in through the pipe, and it's going to bring that flame to our tobacco instead of putting the flame directly on the tobacco. You don't want to use a cigar torch for this. Matches work, Bic lighters work, pipe lighters like this work. I also have a Zippo, right? That's made specifically for lighting your pipe. So I'm going to use the Zippo, and I'm going to light this pipe. And you want to make sure that you move that flame around the bowl, that way you can get an even heat distribution. Now, your first light, what it's going to be is, for most people, it's going to be a charring light. It's going to be just enough to start a carbonized layer on the top. And then you can take your thumb or a tamp and just use the weight of the tamp and just kind of push that down. Some have coined this the false light because it happens to a lot of people. That first light isn't necessarily a light. Like, it doesn't necessarily catch the bowl all the way. Now, once you have your pipe lit, the goal isn't to get big plumes of smoke into your mouth. It's more to be able to sip, enjoy, reflect, relax, contemplate, read a book. So you just want to sip on the pipe. The goal of it is to keep a cooler ember, right? It's still going to be hot because we are combusting tobacco, but you want to keep a cooler ember for cooler smoke. The hotter the smoke, along with higher sugar content, you run the risk of a thing called tongue bite. Which is, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's just burning your tongue, but just small little sips, small little wisps of tobacco. And every so often, as you're smoking, take your tamp and just puff while you're doing this, or you might let your ember go out. And just kind of tamp that down a little bit. Okay, so now we have finished our bowl, and I brought my ashtray out here. So what I like to do now is I like to take this little tamper tool. It's like a check tool. If you have a check tool or something like that, what I like to do is I like to take this little stir stick, put it into my bowl, and kind of break up those first carbon layers. Still smoldering a little bit in there, that's okay. Right? I like to break those up, make it a little bit easier to get out. And then what I like to do is I like to scrape this out. It's a little bit of dottle that I'll have left in the bowl. Right? It's just at the very end. It's all the tobacco that you can't ever really get out. Oh, there's a little bit more. Let me get that. There it is. So now that I have scraped out just lightly around that to get the rest of the dottle out, what I like to do is take a pipe cleaner, run it through, just kind of run it through, and you only want to use a pipe cleaner once, right? Get some of that tarriness out of there. And then I let my pipes rest in between each smoke. So one of the ways that I kind of help with their resting and allowing them to absorb moisture is I would just take a pipe cleaner, throw it right in there, all the way through the stem, shank, just let it sit. And I'll let it rest like this until the next time I'm ready to smoke it, and then I'll pull that pipe cleaner right out of there, and we're good to go. That's it, everyone. It's a pretty simple thing to do to smoke a pipe. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. If there's any questions that you might have, please put them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, please. Pipe community, you guys are already on there. Thank you guys for your support. We're doing it. I I will be having a new review out soon, so be on the lookout for that, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Take care.